So before we get started with the next problem, let's take a look at what we did in the previous problem. So we know that this equation, because we have two linear factors, this is going to be a quadratic function. There are two x-intercepts, and we did notice that the end behavior is going to be positive for both. If it is negative, we notice that the end behavior on the left is going to be negative and on the right is going to be positive. Now we have three factors, so this is going to be a cubic function, and the end behavior for the left is going to be in the negative direction, and for the right, end behavior is going to be in the positive direction. Now we have two factors here, one here and one here, and we know that we have four x-intercepts because this one counts as 2 because of the bounce. So we know this is quadratic, and we know that the end behavior on the left is going to be in the positive, and the behavior on the right is going to be also positive. So please pause the video. And what if we had a x to the power of 5? What do you think the end behavior will be? So we are going to get started with 8-2. Please push pause and read the problem. So let's start with the number of x-intercepts. We know we have 2 here and we have 1 there. So the number of x-intercepts is going to be 3. So we need to solve for x to get the actual x-intercept. So x minus 2, set it equal to 0, add 2 to both sides. So we know there's 1 at 2. I'm going to say that that is 2. And I know that the other one is x plus 5 equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 5 to both sides. So x is equal to negative 5. So I'm going to set it over here. It's a sketch. So we are also going to need the y-intercept. And in order to get the y-intercept, x needs to be 0. So we have y is equal to x minus 2, and then x plus 5 squared. We're going to let x equal 0. Squared. This is equal to negative 2. This is equal to negative 5 squared. We're going to continue at negative 2, and this is going to be 25. So our y-intercept is going to be at negative 50. So it's going to be 0, negative 50. And we're going to assume, because it's a sketch, that this is the y-intercept as 0, negative 50. Now we know that it has 3 x-intercepts. We know it's going to be a cubic function. So if we take a look at the stuff that we did earlier, at the notes that we did earlier, we know it the end behavior to the left of the x-intercept is going to be in the negative direction. And then the one to the right of the last one is going to be in the positive direction, because that's what we saw in the first problem that we did in 8-1 and for 2 problems. So we know that this graph needs to come from, we're going to start in the lower, in the negative direction, and this is going to tell us that we need a bounce. So we're going to start in the bottom. We need that bounce. We're going to come down, hit the y-intercept, and then bounce back up. So I want you to try the next one on your own.